I love this conversation about identity politics too. I had just written on Facebook a couple days ago, right after the midterm election, I think something interesting happened. Jared Polis won as Democratic governor of Colorado.
Right.
The funny thing was, the day after he won, all the headlines were, America elects its first male gay governor, right? So the identity politics were coming out in full force. The funny thing is, when I was looking at all the forums from all the people who either voted for him or did not vote for him, the number one thing I kept seeing repeated over and over again was, wait, he's gay? Oh, cool. Like it didn't, like the identity politics didn't factor into the buildup to the election, but it became one way to interpret the election once it already happened. And I saw that as a healthy use of identity politics because, Jonathan Haidt, who we talked about earlier, he oftentimes talks about how, when he went to liberal arts school, and I think it was the 80s, he says, he was taught a wide selection of different lenses that he could put on one at a time to enact reality and see, look at things from different perspectives. And all of those lenses were useful insofar as they went. The problem comes when we only choose one of those lenses as being the primary lens that we're enacting reality through. And this has become the problem with identity politics. I think it's completely fine after someone like Polis wins to write a headline acknowledging the fact that he's the first male gay governor. I think that's cool because I think there are, groups of people out there who have a history of oppression and marginalization. And this is a sign because talk about the starting line and the finish line of the race. Jared Polis was an example of someone who made it over the finish line. There was an equitable result here, and hey, guys, that's good news for gay America. There's a good reason to celebrate here, but acknowledge it and then let it go because there's so many more important facets to this story, including his policies, all of that.
Yeah.
So I was encouraged when I saw that story as being like, well, here's a case where identity politics could have dominated the build up to the election, but they really only came into play after the election as sort of an interpretive device for the election. And I thought that was fine. I thought that was healthy because we didn't get stuck on it.
Identity politics is important in a developmental sense, because again, just using the very simplified, broad ways of development from egocentric to ethnocentric to world-centric to integral, everybody goes through those ethnocentric stages. Everybody goes through an identity politics stage. And they're absolutely crucial for personality formation. It's something that has to be kept in mind as we move towards global world federation, that we still have to have people develop their identities. And so there's still some role for nation states to help get them from ethnocentric towards world-centric, and then start identifying with global humanity. But we can only do these things sort of one step at a time. So these are important. What we have to be very careful about is that our identity politics recognizes that it works only if it understands it's part of a world-centric unity and diversity.
Yeah.
It can't be just diversity.
Yep.
That's tribalization. That's everything humanity fought against to end bigotry and slavery. None of those got ended when we were at ethnocentric stages of development. They were all heightened on the basis of wars and serfdom and slavery and misogyny and you name it. And we got out of all of those by moving to world-centric. And if we now just start re-emphasizing identity politics, ethnocentric, we're cutting under that great world-centric umbrella of moral fairness for all. And that's a disaster. And that's part of what's happening right now. So we have to really, really be careful about that.
Yeah.
And the far right and the far left, neither one of those are helping. They're both sort of sucking into that identity politics, tribal orientation. And that's really a problem. if you see it as part of an ongoing embrace of a broader identity that allows you to see what all tribes have in common and how we all should be treated fairly, regardless of race, color, sex, or creed, then it's great. And every person should be proud of their ethnic orientation, their sex, their identity, whatever it is.